You ever get laughed at by your own family while living in your car, working two jobs, and trying to finish college? Yeah, me neither, until it happened to me. And trust me, karma had a plot twist ready that nobody saw coming. My name is Emily, I'm 22, and until recently, I was sleeping in the backseat of a 2002 Honda Civic that smelled like old French fries and engine oil. It wasn't always like this. Back when I was 14, I had a pretty normal life. My dad was my rock, goofy, loving, the kind of dad who knew how to help you with calculus and make fart jokes in the same breath. But everything changed the day he got diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. One day he was helping me study for a math quiz. The next he was losing weight faster than our family could process. 6 months later, he was gone. And just like that, I lost more than a father. I lost our family's glue. My mom broke in ways I didn't think were possible. 2 months after the funeral, she started seeing Derek, a flashy real estate guy who wore sunglasses indoors and called people champ. Within the year, they were married. I wasn't even told about the engagement, just handed a bridesmaid dress and told to smile for the pictures. Then came the real betrayal. They moved into his massive house in Scottsdale. Marble floors, infinity pool, personal gym, all the stuff influencers brag about on Instagram. But guess who wasn't invited? Me. Sweetie, we just think you'd be more comfortable staying with your Aunt Carol in Minneapolis, Mom said with her new French manicure tapping on her wine glass. More comfortable. Sure. They shipped me off like a forgotten Amazon package. Aunt Carol used to be my fun and the one who let me eat ice cream for breakfast during summer visits. But once I moved in, I became the inconvenience. Her mansion had 5 bedrooms, but apparently no room for me unless I paid rent. At 17. Her husband, Uncle James, was rarely around, always at business meetings, which I later found out meant real estate deals and passive-aggressively micromanaging a dozen laundromats around town. Her kids, Madison and Tyler, were just cruel. They'd post pictures of me wearing second-hand clothes with captions like, "Is poverty a fashion trend now?" Tyler once accidentally spilled soda on my mattress. Madison refused to let me borrow a winter coat even though I'd just arrived from Arizona with nothing but hoodies. And Mom? She stopped calling. I'd get the occasional text, "Hope you're doing well," while she posted selfies on yachts and at charity galas on Instagram. She even archived all our family photos, said they didn't match her aesthetic anymore. It felt like I lost both parents. Then Carol raised my rent. Again. Said utilities went up. I was 17, still in school, and suddenly I needed a job. That's how I ended up working the midnight shift at a 24-hour laundromat in the rough part of town. The manager, Jerry, didn't even blink when I offered to start that night. From midnight to 6 a.m., I was scrubbing gum off dryers and dodging weirdos who thought the place was a free Airbnb. I wore 3 hoodies just to survive Minnesota winters. When that still wasn't enough, I picked up a second job at a gas station from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. My life became this impossible loop. No sleep, 2 jobs, school squeezed in wherever I could. And my cousins? They turned it into a game. Tyler would swing by the gas station with his friends and trash the aisles. Madison would bring her cheer squad and say things like, "Imagine having to work here." I'd literally die. They took pictures, posted them, tagged me. At school, people started leaving quarters on my desk. Someone put a sticker on my locker that said, "Washer girl." It wasn't bullying. It was psychological warfare. I barely passed my classes. I slept during lunch. But I kept grinding, saving every cent I could in that teddy bear my dad gave me before he died. It was the only thing I had left of him. I told myself, just hold on long enough to graduate. Get out. Get free. But then, someone tore my room apart. The bear was ripped open. All the money? Gone. Oops, I was just cleaning, Madison said with fake innocence. The same week, Aunt Carol doubled my rent. I did the math. Even with 2 jobs, I couldn't afford it anymore. So I made a choice. I picked education. packed what I could into my car, parked behind the laundromat, used the employee keys to sneak into the bathroom at night. The first night in my car, I actually felt peaceful. But peace doesn't last long in minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit weather. And that's when things really started to unravel, and when he started watching me. From the shadows. From that black SUV. From the cameras I didn't even know existed. But we'll get to that. I thought sleeping in my car would be the lowest point of my life. I was wrong. What came next made me question everything, who I could trust, who was watching, and whether I'd even survive the winter. You'd be surprised how quickly a car stops feeling like freedom and starts feeling like a coffin. At first, it felt like I had control for once. No more walking on eggshells at Aunt Carol's. No more hearing Madison slam doors or Tyler blast music at 3 a.m. My back seat became my bed. My dashboard? A space heater, but only if I kicked it in the exact right spot to get it running. I parked behind the laundromat where I worked, using my keys to sneak in at night for bathroom breaks and to steal 5-minute bursts of heat. I kept my blanket stash, scavenged from the lost and found, folded neatly in the trunk. My school backpack doubled as a pillow. It was weirdly manageable. For a little while. But then winter hit. Minnesota winters don't care if you're young or trying your best or have dreams of college. They hit hard. Nights dropped to minus 10, then minus 15. I had to keep the engine running just to not freeze, which meant burning gas I couldn't afford. Some nights, the battery died anyway. I sat in silence, breath fogging up the windows, wearing every hoodie I owned and praying the cold wouldn't win. The worst part wasn't the weather. It was pretending. Pretending I was okay at school. That my hair wasn't frozen at the ends. That I wasn't washing my clothes at the same place I worked because I literally lived there. I started making up excuses. My homework was late. Printer jammed. My clothes smelled like detergent. Laundry day. Why was I so tired? Allergies. But then, the black SUV showed up. It started appearing randomly. Parked across the street from the laundromat. Always with the engine running. Tinted windows. Never moved. Just watched. At first I thought it was a cop or a creeper. But night after night, it came back. Different spots. Same vibe. Weirdly, it didn't scare me. It felt familiar, like someone watching over me. But why? Then Tyler found out I was living in my car. Don't ask me how, probably followed me one night after one of my shifts. That same week, a TikTok popped up on his account titled, "My Homeless Cousin, a Documentary." They filmed me wiping snow off my windshield with my sleeves, studying using the laundromat sign as light, even changing clothes in the back seat. It went viral, in their rich kids circle, anyway. Honking cars started pulling up at night. Some threw trash at my window. One guy dumped a slushie on my hood and shouted, "Get a job," while I was literally on break from my second one. Cops came knocking more often. "You can't sleep here, miss." So I'd drive in circles around the block until they left, burning more gas, crying. Not because I was scared, but because I was tired of pretending I wasn't. And still, that SUV kept showing up. Just sitting there, watching. I started wondering, was it my mom? Was Derek tracking me for some weird reason? Was it a stalker? Or worse, Aunt Carol sending someone to catch me stealing electricity from her business? But the truth was something I never could have guessed. It all came to a head one night in January. It was -15. My phone was dead. The laundromat was closed for pipe repairs. I had nowhere to go. I curled up in the back seat, every inch of me wrapped in layers, and still, I couldn't feel my toes. My teeth chattered nonstop. I thought, this is it. This is how they'll find me, frozen in a Civic under a flickering street lamp. Then came the knock. 3 sharp taps on my window. I bolted upright. My breath caught in my throat. The SUV was parked across the lot. Its headlights glowed through the snow. I cracked the window just an inch. And there he was. Uncle James. Wearing a long wool coat and snow-dusted boots, like showing up in a frozen parking lot at 2 a.m. was perfectly normal. He looked at me, not angry, not cold. Just calm. I think we need to talk, he said. I thought the man watching me from the black SUV was a creep. Or worse, someone sent to scare me off. But when I saw his face, I realized I was about to learn the truth about my family and about myself. Uncle James stood there in the snow like some kind of ghost, calm, steady, and impossibly warm compared to the air around us. I blinked, convinced I was hallucinating from cold or sleep deprivation. But he didn't move, just looked at me through the cracked car window and said, again, "We need to talk." I unlocked the door with a trembling hand. Not because I was scared, I wasn't. I was just so cold I couldn't even feel my fingers anymore. "Come upstairs," he said. "My office has heat." I didn't even ask questions. I just followed. The office above the laundromat, I'd never even known it existed. It was hidden behind a metal door with a keypad lock. Inside, a small, clean space with a desk, a tiny bathroom, a couch, and a coffee maker that looked like it cost more than my car. He handed me a mug without saying a word. I wrapped my hands around it like it was life itself. Then he sat down across from me and started talking. "Your dad and I used to live in a car too." I froze. "What?" He nodded slowly. "Back when we were teenagers. Our mom worked 3 jobs. Rent was a fantasy. We slept in a van and ate canned beans. One winter we nearly froze in a church parking lot." He reached for his phone, swiped through a few pictures, then held it out. There they were. 2 skinny teenage boys sitting on the floor of a rusted-out van, eating beans with plastic spoons. One of them, my dad, was grinning with the exact same crooked smile I used to see when he made pancakes on Saturday mornings. "That was us," James said. "We survived because someone gave us a shot." He told me about the original laundromat owner, a kind old man named Mr. Klein, who used to let them sleep inside during the winter. They helped clean, fixed machines, swept the floors. When Mr. Klein got sick, he offered to sell them the place for next to nothing. James had been working construction and saving every dime. My dad had just started college on a full scholarship. "They built this place together," James said, looking around. "Your dad had the brains. I had the hustle. It worked." I sat there, stunned. This wasn't the version of Uncle James the first knew, the cold, distant real estate guy married to my ice queen aunt. This was someone entirely different. Then he pulled out a folder from his desk. Inside, property deeds, business plans, handwritten notes in my dad's messy scrawl. One page had my name circled, my school schedule, my work hours, notes on the TikToks my cousins posted. "You thought I didn't care," he said. "But I've been watching, through the cameras, through Jerry, through my guys in the SUV. I needed to know." He looked me dead in the eyes. "If you had what your father had." I started crying, quiet, embarrassed sobs that I tried to swallow with the coffee. He didn't flinch. "You didn't ask for handouts. You didn't quit. You figured it out. You worked. You fought. That's exactly what your dad wanted for you." Then he handed me a key. "To what?" I whispered. "The studio above this office. It's yours. No rent. Just keep working here, keep your grades up, and keep being who you are." I stared at him like he'd just handed me the deed to the universe. "I can't. This feels like charity." James leaned back and shook his head. "No, Emily. This is an investment. In you." He wasn't done. He pulled out another folder, this one thicker, messier, like it had been pulled from a detective's desk. Inside were screenshots of texts between Aunt Carol and someone saved as D. Rehart. Emails, bank transfers, fake invoices, offshore account numbers. I recognized Derek's email address. That's when it hit me. Aunt Carol and Derek were having an affair. Worse, they were funneling money out of the business, James's business, and planning to disappear. They'd already stolen close to $1 million. The plan was to drain over $4.3 million and run. And every time Carol raised my rent, every excuse about utilities or taxes, That was her way of funding their escape. She used your rent money to pay for her plane tickets, James said flatly, while you were freezing to death in a car behind the building your father helped build. I didn't even feel anger at first. Just numb. Then something inside me snapped. I want in, I said quietly. I want to help. James smiled. I thought you'd say that. They laughed when I slept in a car, mocked me online, stole from me. But on the day the FBI dragged them away in handcuffs, in front of everyone, I didn't have to say a word. Karma did it for me. The next few days were a blur. Uncle James had a full team working behind the scenes, lawyers, accountants, even digital forensics guys, tracking every dime Aunt Carol and Derek had stolen. They found shell companies, fake maintenance invoices, and a string of offshore transfers. Worst of all? Some of the money came from college funds meant for Madison and Tyler. Yeah, their own mother was stealing their futures to fund her new life with my sleazebag stepdad. We needed one thing: proof of intent. And that came from the most unexpected source. Tyler. He came running into the laundromat one night, pale and shaking. He'd been using Carol's iPad to stream a game, and a message popped up. Everything's ready for next week. Lisa, baby, we're finally gonna be free. D. Red Heart. Tyler opened the message thread and uncovered everything. Months of flirting, planning, code words, even flight confirmations. He brought it straight to Uncle James. For the first time, the kid who'd called me washer girl looked terrified. So we made a plan. Well, Uncle James did. Carol had scheduled a massive birthday party for Tyler. Outdoor DJ, catering, luxury mini-golf in the backyard, like nothing was wrong. Like she wasn't about to flee the country with someone else's husband and millions in stolen funds. Uncle James decided, that's when we end it. We didn't tell Madison. Not yet. She showed up at my apartment the night before the party, sobbing with mascara streaked down her cheeks. She was gonna leave without us, she said. She didn't even tell me. I hate her. She slept on my futon that night, wearing my pajamas, and cried herself to sleep. We all helped set up for the party, Madison, Tyler, and me, trying to act normal while Carol pranced around like the queen of suburban drama. And right at 4 p.m., Uncle James' lawyer arrived. In a suit. With a briefcase. And a look. Everyone was gathered in the living room, family, friends, a few rich neighbors with their over-styled poodles, when the lawyer opened the case. Out came printed emails, bank statements, and audio recordings of Carol and Derek plotting. One of the recordings ended with Derek laughing. That old idiot will never see it coming. Guess what? He did. Carol's face turned gray. She stammered something about this being fake. But then James pulled out her iPad. The one with all the texts. He started reading them aloud. You could hear a pin drop. Then, sirens. The actual FBI was waiting outside. Yeah, FBI agents walked in with badges and said the words I'll never forget. Carol Anderson, you are under arrest for wire fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy to commit financial crimes. Derek? He tried to run. Made it halfway across the lawn before 2 agents tackled him into the koi pond. Karma, served ice cold. My mom was there too. She hadn't spoken to me since the boarding school fight. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. Turned out, Derek had stolen her money too. Every cent of my dad's life insurance? Gone. She dropped her wine glass and just sat down on the floor. The days after that were chaos. News vans. Lawyers. Social media exploded with the footage. Yes, someone filmed it. The headline? Suburban birthday turns into FBI sting operation. Uncle James took over everything. Froze Carol's accounts. Pressed charges. Cooperated with the feds. Madison and Tyler moved in with me into my tiny studio. We made it work. Madison started working the register at the laundromat. Tyler fixed the dryers. Turns out, he's kind of a genius with machinery. And me? Uncle James promoted me to manager. I run the place now. A few weeks later, We visited my dad's grave together. First time I'd been there in over a year. James brought flowers. Madison brought a small photo she'd printed of the three of us in front of the laundromat. Tyler just stood there, quiet. Then he said, "Your dad would be proud of you." I still tear up thinking about that. Carol and Derek are awaiting sentencing. Could face years in prison. Neither of them has reached out. Good. My mom? She checked into a rehab center, not for drugs, but for reality. She's trying to process everything. I hope she does. But I'm not waiting around. I have a life now. A real one. Built from broken pieces, stitched together by nights spent working, crying, surviving. And yeah, I still live above the laundromat. The walls are thin. The water heater's sketchy. But it's mine. Every now and then, when the cold wind hits the glass just right, I think about that first night in my Civic and how close I was to giving up. And I'm glad I didn't. Because I didn't just survive. I won